This wasn't planned as part of our worship service, and there's really no good point in the service to do this, but it felt important as followers of Jesus to acknowledge the events of yesterday and to offer some sort of pastoral response to them. As I'm sure all of us are aware, or at least most of us are aware, a 20-year-old gunman from outside of Pittsburgh attempted to assassinate a former president of the United States and current presidential candidate of the United States. And I've been very thankful to see widespread condemnation from across the political spectrum of this act. Everyone from George W. Bush to Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi to Mitch McConnell have denounced this. But I will be honest that I have found some of their rhetoric ringing a little bit hollow. The sort of universal statement has been, there is no space for violence in the American political process. But that is simply untrue. Violence has always been part of the American political process. This is a country, like most nations, that was birthed in violence, that has been sustained and upheld by violence. Whoever wins this presidential election will preside over nearly unimaginable levels of violence, even in quote-unquote peacetime. Violence is the handmaiden of the state. So it is untrue to say that there is no place for violence in the political process, but it is important and undeniably true to say that there is no place for violence within the kingdom of Jesus. I was reminded yesterday watching these events unfold of Jesus' interactions with Peter at the time that Roman soldiers came to arrest Jesus for leading a political movement. One of Jesus' disciples, Peter, reached for a sword and attempted to murder one of the centurions who was coming to arrest Jesus, but he only succeeded in getting his ear. And Jesus' response was both to heal the ear of his enemy, the centurion whom his follower had attempted to kill, and to rebuke his own follower. He said to Peter, "Put your sword away, for all those who live by the sword will die by the sword." And a later church leader by the name of Tertullian, reflecting on this, said that in saying so, Jesus disarmed every soldier. There is no space for violence as followers of Jesus. So what then can we do in this moment when it seems very, very possible, because every action of violence tends to catalyze further violence? What can we do as followers of Jesus? I want to suggest three things that we can do in response. The first of which is to deepen our own personal commitment to faithfulness in the peaceful ways of Jesus. This may look different to different ones of us. To tell you the truth, I'm not worried about anyone in this room or even most of those watching online taking up arms to try to enact their preferred political vision. You are attending a Mennonite worship service on a Sunday morning. So maybe that's not our growth edge, but maybe we can think about ways that we have contributed intentionally or unintentionally to an intensification of rhetoric in our political discourse as people. Or maybe we can think about the importance as followers of Jesus to truthfulness. One of the things that Jesus says in his confrontation with Pilate when Jesus is talking about his reign being an actual kingdom but coming from a source of power beyond this world is he says, "I came into this world to testify to truth." So in moments like these, when it seems very, very true, the old adage that a lie can get completely around the world before the truth can get its pants on, maybe it's important for us as followers of Jesus to take a moment and be thoughtful in our own reflections and expressions, whether online or in person, to try to only say things we reasonably believe to be true. It is an opportunity to deepen our commitment to the peaceable ways of Jesus and how we speak about our opponents, how we tell the truth to one another. I also think it's an important opportunity to lean more deeply into community, both because as we feel the stress and pressure of what seems like a nation fraying or fracturing apart, it's important to have a communal fellowship that we can draw support from, but also because this is an ideologically and politically diverse community. I guarantee you that there are people sharing this worship experience with you this morning who vote differently from how you do. And that is a good and beautiful thing. And perhaps instead of shying away from it, we should lean into it, to seek to understand one another better, how we come to the conclusions and ideas that we have, to seek dialogue and mutual understanding. And finally, I think it's an important opportunity for prayer. I was reading, actually yesterday morning, before all of this happened, I was revisiting a book that Megan Good, pastor of Trinity Mennonite Church in Phoenix, recently published called Divine Gravity, inviting followers of Jesus more deeply into the ways of Jesus. And she has a chapter she writes on power, and she writes this in it. She says, Jesus followers have a chance at this critical time to repent, to reject the alliance with Satan and his methods by which we have gained the world at deep cost to all our souls. We have a chance to cut the head off evil's Trojan horse. We have a chance to rediscover the revolutionary new form of power that Jesus revealed, a kind of power that works with the grain of God's kingdom instead of against it. This is our moment to rediscover the power of prayer. The world is trying desperately to combat evil with guns and armies. This is like trying to saw steel with a plastic butter knife or put out a fire using gas. It is an effort doomed at best to fail and at worst to tragically backfire. Such weapons are ill-suited to the nature of the opponent. Prayer is a laser honed to cut to the very heart of evil. It is one of the few weapons that can even get to the field where the core battle is being fought. And Jesus' followers are uniquely equipped to wield it. There is no greater gift we could offer the world. Prayer doesn't invoke God. God is already aware and present and engaged. Prayer doesn't control God. God isn't waiting for our instructions to know what to do. But through prayer, we can open wide the door to the world and consent on behalf of humanity and creation to God's delivering power rising from beneath us. Prayer is part of our God-given say-so as small image bearers in creation, our chance to affect the course of history by aligning our own yes with God's. And so I would invite you to, in this moment, in this time of deep uncertainty, to recommit yourself to the peaceable way of Jesus, to lean into the beautiful community that we have here as a congregation, and to rediscover the revolutionary power of prayer as a way to truly combat evil that doesn't actually make things worse. May God be with us during these times.